start dealing with. Number one is war. Number two, it is religion. Both of them being man-made institutions. And those two things destroy us all. Religion in particular, it builds walls around us. And Christianity as we have it, as of contrasted to spirituality. Spirituality can do without Christianity. Christianity can't do without spirituality. Because one or the other has to do with the person in connection with the entire universe and nature. Whereas the other one has to do with formalities in a building, tithe offerings, and narrow-minded. And unfortunately for the African child, when we accepted Christianity, we swallowed the plastic plus the bread, instead of maybe taking the content and removing the branding itself. Now Christianity has to do with dressing, with fashion, with music, with what, with literally Eurocentric formalities, which have nothing to do with spirituality and connectivity to the divine other. But it has become actually institutionalized. I'm a Methodist, I'm a Catholic, I'm an Adventist, I'm a Presbyterian, I'm Episcopal, and in the midst of this Christian quagmire, we've built more walls than we've built more bridges. So I think the first problem is that we have accepted Eurocentric colonial methodology of Christianizing us, which has nothing to do with our spiritual expression. And African religions are even better because they seek to deal with your connectivity to yourself, to your family, to your community, and ultimately to the environment around you and to your God. Where being a Christian has meant putting on a jacket and a tie and then carrying a Bible and walking up to church, having your tithe in your hand, putting some money in an offering plate, and being able to look, as it were, semi-colonized, but in an environment where you're God worshipping. And if you should pick up a Zulu, a Xhosa, or a Pedi, or Tswana, and they come in as they are from their own traditional corners into the Christian environment, most likely all the elders are going to be sitting aside for a committee to say, can we help this guy to move him from there? So it almost seems like for you to become Christian, you need to lose yourself first. We need to flush you off, from being culturally you. And we clear off everything that is local and ethnic. And so churches for me have become an initiation center for colonialism. That when you deal with colonialism, our education has been colonized, our economics has been colonized, our fashion has been colonized, our religion, even our God has been colonized. That's what it is all about. My God is stronger than you, that's why I'm overpowering. And the one who has the economics determines the religion of the people. So when you say we are spoiled for choices, I picked up the pinch of salt. Poor people don't have much choices. A statement which people love using, Jesus is the answer. I have come up on the contrary to ask what is the question. Because our people have serious problems. They have economic problems, health problems. And when they go to church, they're not going there for entertainment per se. They have genuine issues that they would want to address with deity. Unfortunately, shenanigans and charlatans have shot into the road quickly, pretending, acting, to present and giving solutions to the community. Half the time, if not most of the time, this has become actually a circus of the highest order. Because at the end of the day, the same people who must be assisting us to get solutions are actually pulling out all the resources away from us again and gathering that to themselves. So when you're talking about they have choices, where there's poverty, I want to ask maybe to just make it slightly philosophical. When I place you in an environment where you have nothing to eat, nothing to, and I only leave you with options of poverty, religion is actually an option for poverty. The question is, if we had more millionaires on the ground, would we have all of them in church? I'm banning the word Jesus myself. Yeah. I'm not asking anybody else to do it. Yes. But I woke up one morning having worked as a minister for 32 years. Yes. And you wake up to discover the picture of Jesus is wrong. Yeah. It's actually a whitewashed Hollywood picture. And I don't believe that white guy ever died for any one of us. So that's for me. Yes. I don't know what the rest of the community would say, but for myself, that's wrong. The name Jesus on its own is wrong. Yeah. Because the letter J only appeared on our alphabet as of 500 years ago. So even Jesus himself, per se, Yeshua, never had that name being called on him. Then I wake up again and I discover the Bible has been edited. There are a couple of books that are missing in the Bible. Another problem. Israel itself becomes another problem. Because they never went anywhere in a boat and they were never sold as slaves anywhere. As the Bible identifies the Israelites, that they were going to be taken across the seas, they're going to be beaten up, and they're going to be thrown around with buttocks hanging outside, they'll be sold as slaves. Now tell me which nation on the face of the earth fits that description, except for the black people. So when you begin to look at the biblical text more critically, you begin to see the whole colonial facade falling off, that actually the 13th tribe, a book which I can recommend, which was done by Ford, must be read, that the whole concept of the Hebraic Israeli concept, that the Israeli are these white guys who are rolling their hands on their side, is not altogether true. Blacks the whites have never been Jewish. For all practical purposes, North Africa is not a home for the white people. They have been Europeans. It's only when they went through the civilizations in Europe and into Russia and etc., when they came back through the United Nations in the 1960s. A beautiful story I can tell you. We me and you, we go and buy some apples in a shop. We come here during the light, we eat the first apple, we find that there are worms inside. And one of us who is smarter than the other says, hey Joshua, we cannot throw away good apples. Let's switch off the lights. Let's just eat these apples. Why? Because light gives you a problem. Because immediately we remove the light, we can eat the rotten apples. Rebuild the family structures and reconfirm what you believe. When you are talking about regenerating us as people, it must not only be a cosmetic regeneration. Start putting a savings plan for your money. Start doing forgiveness ceremonies in your houses. Work on building relationships around your own families. Visit your own children that you've made in the whole bushes around. And let not be for celebrating some foreign little white guy with blue eyes whom you claim to be Jesus, who died on a cross. I'm still waiting for a white man to die for black people. Regeneration for me, if you listen to that word carefully, regeneration. There's a generation inside. Has to be re-establishing a generation. Now I can almost give you 3 quick generations. With the generations of the blacks, purely black. With the generations of the blacks who have become coconuts. Black on the outside, but white on the inside. Structure of thinking and education and medicine and everything, purely white. Then we have the white generation. Put these 3 generations together. When you're saying let's regenerate the African, the question is, which one do you want to regenerate? Are you regenerating us to become like the 1930s and the 1960s? Are you regenerating us to become the blacks that we are? Or you are simply saying we must regenerate in terms of having white morality, black morality, or what I want to call coconut morality? And right now, we just use these beautiful words on the top side. But when it comes to the real essence of what does it mean to regenerate the African spirituality, I want to challenge all of us. It has to do with us moving from here, not to Moria, not to Shembe, not to churches. It's going back to our villages, going back to our families, saying hell no to our mothers, giving less money to our pastors, more money to our mothers and fathers and sisters and children that are struggling. There's no morality of the story of you taking your tithe and offerings to a rich man in Sandton, when in fact your own sister's child cannot have money for school fees. And you're talking about regeneration as a concept.